husband just knows how to push my buttons and I lose it. And then I say, I'm not supposed to lose it. This isn't supposed to bother me, but it bothers me anyway. So, hi.
Hello.
Everybody. Hello.
Good morning.
Proof of life. Proof of life.
Oh, hey, Harry.
Hey, Harry.
We had a rough night Saturday and spent Sunday in the hospital. Today we're good.
Oh, good. Good.
You had some tests and everything, Harry, but you're good.
Yeah, everything's fine.
It wasn't a heart attack,
Yeah.
which is good to know.
Yes.
What it was it like stress or anxiety or something?
No, I just would get this
Pain.
little tiny pain, I want to say tickle, just this area of pain just above the pacemaker.
Between the heart and the
Yeah, so
pacemaker.
that's different, I haven't had that feeling in that spot before. It would last a few seconds and stops, and I was fine. I wasn't feeling like I was going to faint or fall or anything like that. But then it happened again and again for a few seconds, and then stops. So I start wondering, well, maybe somebody should take a peek at that.
Yeah.
I might know what it is. So off we went to the hospital.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But it's all good.
We got
Good.
lucky. We got lucky.
Happy ending.
Sorry to stress the people who
Happy ending. So we're
Happy
good.
ending.
Okay.
That has
It would have been more stressful if you weren't here because Harry, you were in the hospital. That would have no seeing you upright. That's good. That's
Yeah.
helpful.
Thank you.
So,
All right. Have fun, kids.
thanks.
Bye.
And now a cat will come and sit here instead.
Why are there no men here? Is there a reason? Are they not invited? Or are they not interested?
Yeah,
they-
Harry. Why are there no?
Yeah, it's a ladies group only. It was started from a ladies happy hour and grew into ladies Monday opportunity. I think that all of us felt like as women, we had some voices that we could share without being influenced by men. But we do have a few times, both Harry and Mary Beth's husband have participated in different things that we've done as a group. So we've met them a couple times. So it's nice. And hi, Marie, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going. It's Monday.
It is.
I have a friends of mine who have arrived Saturday from Slovenia, and they'll be here for 2 weeks. And then another friend of ours is coming down from Vallejo so she can spend a week with them, but she's going to be spending a portion of that with me. So we spent yesterday cleaning, changing linens and dusting and, picking up all my hair. It's like, oh my God. So, but it's nice when she's here. She's stayed with me a bunch of times, so I'm looking forward to it. But it does wear you out. Like I still have to go to the grocery store. I need to get flowers. I need to do all that kind of stuff. And, it just plays on your mind and work and do this. So I missed Monday and I haven't seen the recording. Does anybody want to fill me in? Did we leave any loose ends from Monday that we're supposed to cover today?
I don't think so.
No? Okay, yes, Marilyn, you're muted though.
Because I'm chewing a protein bar. That's why. No, we did Robbie's book.
Oh, was that fun?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a short book.
Well, we don't really have anything on the calendar for today. I think that we want to have Alona do a synopsis of her book. Is that something you're prepared to do today, Alona, or is it something? No. Oh.
So let me catch you up, Lisa. We talked about what we had talked about in the BORED of directors. Ilona isn't up for doing her book yet. She, like the rest of us, are like, okay, enough books for now. So we're going to just let it go. And when she's ready, she can do a synopsis. And then we talked about when we do those kind of things, we're blessed to have so many authors. When we have an author present, then if a group of us wants to branch off and do a book. Not, not a review. I'm thinking in different
A
terms.
book study, like a
Yes, the book study, then that's wonderful. So it would be not during this time, it would be during another time that we would agree to, those of us who want to participate in the group.
Okay, that
Okay,
sounds good. I like that idea.
And we can have spin-offs, like
Yeah.
Happy Days.
yes,
Spin-offs.
spin-offs,
Spin-offs
yeah.
are great.
Girl.
Marilyn,
all in
with
the
that in
family.
mind, I'm meaning to put you on the spot. Do you feel compelled to lead us in a little meditation that might inspire a conversation?
Sure. I mean, I don't know if I am, but they're always ready.
Okay, will you ask them?
I'll ask nicely. I hear giggling. Oh,
You hear giggling?
yeah. Sita's not joining me this morning, joining us this morning, but she called earlier and she had some, yeah, thank you. But she had some great concepts that she was talking about. Have a lot of people read, oh, how do we even, it was just so interesting. It's actually something to talk about. So we could do a meditation and then I'll bring up a topic and we'll see if okay. Because
It
it was
inspires.
really, I felt like my brain was gonna, it's like, whoa, we have to talk about this. Are you gonna join us today? And I can't today. It's like, so yeah, there's a really good, let me get the pad of paper I took some notes on. Hold on.
Okay.
We don't need notes, actually.
And hi, Anna. It's nice to see you. And are you doing okay? Anna, are you doing good?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Good.
I just want to say one thing. I received Alona's book in the mail last week and I read one paragraph, the intro paragraph, and I'm already ready for a spin-off group because I have whenever that's going.
One paragraph. There's a lot in that book, Alona. Yeah,
I can
I
tell.
would very much like to be in a group to talk about that.
Okay, great. That's exciting. I love that. Okay, Marilyn, the floor is yours.
Oh dear, the floor. Yikes. Okay. Take a breath, relax. You're breathing anyway, but just focus on it. I love that. Take a breath. It's like I wasn't doing that before, you know? So just focus on the breath softly, just going in and out. And feel what's happening for you. And just feel the energy around you. Feel what's going on in the space behind your eyes and in your forehead and your ears. Just put some love and attention up there. Think of the heart just sending some energy there and let it expand. And when you take a deep breath, notice your hearing might be a little sharper if there are birdies. We clothe ourselves in a robe of light composed of the love, the power, and the wisdom of divine consciousness. We wear it not only for our own protection, but also so that those who see it or come in contact with it will be drawn to divine and healed. They're giggling out there. Why are they giggling? Because whenever you gather to raise the light, they like to play, and especially asking that the light be of the highest frequency and that we be of the highest frequency and of the highest intention. Take a breath and let the tension of the week, the month, whatever is there, slide down the back and slide down the spinal cord as if you're in a shower. And it's getting washed down, and it goes down into the ground, into the soil. You can feel it there. And it's transformed its energy. It might have been stress at one time, but now it's just energy. And it'll feed the trees and help the earth. Take a deep breath. We're always grounded. The earth is always collecting and sorting out and feeling our step, our energy, and it responds to us. The earth wants our steps to be light and filled with intention, joy, sweetness, devotion and presence. We have gratitude for the earth that sustains us. And let your shoulders fall back and let the chest open up even more with gratitude. And just relax with the breath for a little bit. And now notice the energy right above your head, so softly. We're always connected. It's a constant invitation to what is already there. Feel the connectedness, allow the sweetness of it and the acknowledgement of what is already there to run through you, again like a shower, to run through your mind, over your eyes, inside, outside, the back of the head, your face, let it drop down. Let that light soothe you. Feel what's happening in the gut. Oh, it's waking up. It wants this, it's coming. The heart is hungry for the light. Let the shoulders fall back. Feel the light go down through the neck, through the shoulders, as if it's sunlight, moonlight, water, sparkles, whatever feels right. It's not heavy. It's not prickly. There's a sweet familiarity, and it goes down the arms and down the chest and in the lungs. We say thank you to the lungs. So whenever we say take a breath, we already know we've been doing it all along. Thank you. Take a breath. And feel it go down into the hands softly and gently. You don't need to do anything with it. It's yours. It's there. Down into the midriff, into the center of the stomach, over the hips, over the abdomen, over the pelvic bone, and down. Through the legs, through the knees. Oh, the knees need a little extra. Let it stay there with the knees, just a little extra, a little bit of healing in there for all the work they do for us. Through the calves, down through the ankles. Those are heavy duty workers too. Let the light soften. You can wiggle your toes if you'd like to and feel the light go all the way through. And you're connected as above, so below. The earth carries us, holds us. The light fills us, compels us because our intention is aligned with light. Notice in this balance the energy of the heart, and let's send love out to anyone we know who needs it. Little Ayla and her family. Betty, she had a stomach bug. Let's send some to her. Anyone you know, including yourselves if there's something, and including our furry animals and our feathered animals, our scaly animals, our out-of-body animals. All that we love, gently allow it to spread out to them and feel at peace, as above, so below. Feel at peace while we talk about so many things and use the words as a conduit. The energy and the intention are pure, and we have fun with the words. And while we share the words, we're blessed with shared intention. We're with our tribe. We're singing at the well. The water is flowing. The love is flowing. The healing is flowing. The knowing is flowing. The knowing you came in with. Always there. And when there's no clutter and when it's a little quiet, we invite it in. Everything we've known. And the heart rejoices. And it's about the sharing and it's about the light. And I'm told to say today that the image of Jesus walking on water is for all of us. Because we're walking through, well, of course, there's floods all over the place around here, but there's so much on the earth plane that's contrasted, that's silly, that's foolish, that's harmful, that's destructive. We live here on the earth plane by choice. That's why we came to help heal. But in a sense, when we gather like this, even though we permeate down to the roots of all, sometimes we walk on water, we walk on top of all of the things going on in the physical plane and observe and absorb the light, and we bring it in as we are the conduits, divine and earth. And earth is divine, as we did in our bodies, as above, so below, for all out there. So even as conflict is happening on the earth plane, we join the heavenly forces, the earthly forces, the grand divine intention of healing and expansion. Take a breath. You're part of it. And because you're in your body doesn't mean you're any less of a spiritual being. You took on the body to manifest and bring light and to teach others and to learn. But you are no less. So while we come in and we help and we teach and expand, you're the teachers, we are the teachers as well. And we're all part of the grand collaboration of divine healing. When you take that next breath, you realize how beautifully you're synchronized with it yourself. And you're all. And there it is.
Thank you, Marilyn.
So thank them. That was, I mean, sometimes I try and follow it, but I'm kind of at the point where I'm kind of doing it along with. So I'm not really following it that well. So I'm always hoping it makes sense, but you know, it's them. So, anyone have thoughts about this or anything going on or any update on Ayla? And did I pronounce it correctly?
I don't know how to pronounce it, but she, if you guys don't know, Maria and I went to high school together. So that's, she's the one that had the granddaughter that's been very ill. Additionally, I believe maybe a few months ago, she lost a grandson. So, that they've been kind of hit hard. But from what I understand, she's doing well, and they took her home yesterday. So so it's all good. Everybody's doing well, and I think she's either en route to there or she's already there to help out. So it's all good. And she said thank you to everyone's prayers. So between us and the high school group, I know it's kind of funny, but I still have a close group of friends from high school. And, she asked prayers for them too. And they instantly, just like you guys are sending prayers. And so I think she felt it very strongly. So thank you. And then in regards to the meditation, Marilyn, I always know the meditation works when I drift away. So I have resolved some world issues in doing meditation. So I appreciate that. But I do have a question. This is not part of the conversation today, but it occurred to me when you had mentioned the image about Jesus on the water. It occurred to me that you and Alona both talk about, the divine beings. And I find some comfort in that. I just wanted to share that because, we get a lot of, well, I don't know how to say this in a positive way, a nice way, but you do get people that are not religious or not faith orientated and maybe aren't real believers in, divine beings. And it's comforting to hear you have mentioned that today. And so I wanted to say I appreciate you and Alona because that's kind of helpful to me. It kind of reinforces my faith. Born and raised Catholic, I don't go to church anymore, haven't for years, but I still have this really deep, intense spiritual love. And so it does help when you both reiterate that I'm not crazy as a loon. So I wanted to say thank you very much to both of you for that.
Wow, it's interesting because I agree. I feel that way too. And before, I do my mantra part of the protection I do here, and then I do more before I work with people. And it'll be a person I don't know. And I'll always say, please, God guides people who are here for God's healing, both in body and out of body, angels, archangels, ascended masters. And then I hear where people start showing up. And I'll add in, Jesus or Yogananda or whoever shows up, turns out that's who the people are close to. So yeah, there's a lot of energy with that. And also this Jewish girl has had some experiences with Mary. Okay. So, I love all, it's all. And it's interesting because talking about Maria and the loss of a grandson, I'm just told to, before we launch into whatever we talk about, to add in, it's been one of the most helpful. I think it's in the book as well. I think it came in because one of the kids talked about it to his mom. But it's come in quite a bit that parents feel like, the main job is get your kid to adulthood. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, they don't get that blessing. And, you feel like, I think parents feel, or, that you're the one job, get them there. And if that doesn't happen, one thing that comes through all the time is that Mary was unable to keep her son here when God called him. And it didn't mean she was a bad mother. And especially to somebody who's Catholic, if it comes through and, their grandparents or somebody says to them, do you think Mary was a bad mother because she didn't have the privilege or the ability to keep her son in the physical body? And I think that's really healing for people to know. It's beyond us. We're not in charge of all that. And when you come down to whether they're real people for you or archetypes, or I think they're there and talking, and of course it also comes down to, and Alona, it's fun to talk about because nothing's linear. So Jesus could be talking to 1 million people, Mary can be right in front of me and it's like, hi, and it's like you're not taking her from somewhere else. Energy, it's a whole other, the mind is this, but it's all that. But it's really magnificent that one of the most tragic, horrible things that could happen for somebody, there's the imagery of Mary crying for her son and God blessing and holding her, but she unable to change it. And I hope, I don't know, but I hope it brings peace to people who have been in that circumstance, I don't know. But anyway, they wanted me to tell you guys that if you have somebody to share it with, maybe it's something you can bring in, because I know in channeling, I've heard people talk about it, and it's the kids who bring that in. It came in a 16-year-old brought that in originally. Ryan brought that in. Anyway,
Alona, I saw that you unmuted. Did you want to share?
Yes, but Robbie, did you respond to,
I'm
going to talk to something larger than what Marilyn spoke to.
Okay. Yeah, this is very brief. Just to let people know, if you're not familiar, if you weren't raised in a Catholic background, and I wasn't, I was born in the Jewish faith, but there's a book and a movie called The Shack, and that very much helped me understand the Trinity. Trinity, is that how you say it? Yeah. And it's a beautiful story. And so I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you, Robbie.
It helps. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Just a warning, that is not easy, nice, or simple to, I mean, I won't watch the movie. Somebody gave me the book and I'm like, no way am I watching that movie. So I just want to, it's a really, I just want to say, you got to be prepared for that movie. It is not a simple experience.
Yeah, it's got it. I mean, it's got its very difficult moments, but it's handled in such a beautiful way. And I don't know. I mean, I can't watch any kind of scary movies or violent movies. But I read the book first, and maybe that is why I was able to see the movie afterwards. But yeah, you're right. It's not for sissies.
So hold on just 1 second about the book. I actually met the author, and I have such respect for him, and I do think the book was channeled for him because he doesn't have the background. But that's the first nonfiction book I have ever highlighted because it's so rich in the information that he puts forth. Yes, it is a difficult topic, but then again, which one of us has not been through some difficult things in life? But the message is, it's amazing. That's the one book. I mean, my book is all, whether even with his signature on it, but it's a precious book because of the content, even though it's a nonfiction book. A fictional book. So it is a good one, but it definitely does deal with very strong subjects, but it's also teaching you how to deal with difficulty like that. So yeah. Okay. That's my 2 cents on that one.
All right. So this was book review. Shack. And Alona wanted to add to what Marilyn was saying.
Well, actually, it's about what you were saying. So this is so what I'm going to present to you is a really high level process, right? This is not for your general public people, but it's speaking to your experience, Lisa, in particular. And when you're on the evolutionary journey, and this happens to everybody, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you lead a church or a mosque or whatever. It doesn't matter. When you're on the evolutionary journey, this is going to happen to you. And at some point in your journey, you're going to have a very, very revelatory experience with divinity itself. And at that point, your experience of religion dramatically changes. And you lift beyond the tradition of the religion and you move into direct relationship with creation and all that entails. That doesn't mean that you have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but what it means is you are no longer beholding to any human experience, and you get to decide what you want to keep from a ritual that works for you and what you want to ditch, what kind of scripture you want to explore, and what kind of experience you want to have. But it is enormously freeing to know that your religion was your diving board, right? It was just walking to the edge of the diving board, and then you dive, and you dive deep into the ocean of divinity that you are a part of, and then everything grows in really phenomenal ways. But it's not an easy journey, and most people, when they get to that precipice, really have some issues with it. I mean, it wasn't simple when it happened to me, and it happened to me early. I was 21 when it happened to me. And so when you're talking about the spirituality, religion is meant to be the step up into our soul's presence, into our recognition of divinity. When you're trapped in it, it's really hard to rise out of it. But if you see it as the gift that it is, it can propel you forward. And then instead of becoming a divisive experience, it becomes a unifying one.
You know, Ilona, in my home again, born and raised Catholic, my mother was almost sinister with her faith, going to church, 5 days a week, and really struggling to be welcomed into the church. She went through a divorce, and as a result of that, she had to go back to classes and work with a priest to be able to be allowed to receive the host again. And I went to Catholic high school, grammar school, high school, almost went to a Catholic college, but at some point decided not to. But the thing that changed my perspective, not on faith in general, because I am very strongly spiritual. I really believe that there is somebody looking over me, somebody guiding me, and somebody establishing moral ground for me. And that was the faith that I was raised in. But to see my mother go to such extremes to be welcomed back into the church, that's the opposite of what I think any church should be. And as we got older, and as she got older, she moved away from the Catholic Church, and now she is, for lack of better words, a crazy ass Christian. and is absolutely certain that there's no path for me to heaven because I don't go to church, I don't study the Bible, and I try to tell her all the time, it's not about me attending a service where everyone's patting me on the back for being there. It's about me being true to my word and true to my faith and true to my belief personally. I don't care what the rest of you guys do. I'm only working for my path. And so that has been, I accept it. I accept it. The reason I'm not part of the Catholic Church anymore is because I think they're very contradictory to what their sermons are about being kind and being loving, and I don't think they always are. And I think that's with a lot of churches, especially the one my mom's going to right now. They're very, they're not very welcoming to everybody. And so I like to look at it as what God says to me. If you're being kind, if you're being loving, if you're trying to take care of the earth, if you're taking care of your neighbor, you're doing everything you need to do, to be welcome into heaven at some point, right? Marilyn shared with us years ago, which I have shared with everybody, what for humans like me would expect when we die as far as heaven, and we had a conversation with Marilyn one time about what happened to the people that that crashed the planes into the World Trade Center. Where do they go? Because as a Catholic, I'm raised that it's hell, fire and brimstone, horns, with a pokey tail, or limbo, or, and that's it. That's your options. And growing up, the guilt if I did anything wrong, and I was definitely not a good kid. But if I did anything wrong, I was like, oh my God, is that a mortal sin? Will I never get to heaven? How horrible is that? That fear-based. But Marilyn told us that people always will have an opportunity to do better after they pass. That they will always have an opportunity to go to the light if that's where they want to be, but they have to make that effort. And there are people there to help you. And I figured, all right, fine. So I get to go in the black jelly. That's how she described it. Marilyn, you're muted again.
You're not you.
No, not me. I'm not going to the black jelly. But I just love that. I take such comfort in that, Marilyn, all the time, knowing that, the guy with the pokey tail is not going to be, licking my heels. So I believe it, Ilona. I understand completely what you're saying about where our jumping off point is and then where we have to come into it on our own. So yeah, it's hard. Faith is hard.
There's so many times that very religious people, like zealots, who were neglecting their kids because they weren't this, so you couldn't, and then they're out of body and it's like, oh, no. And they're trying to change all that. And the thing that you're, because you go out there and you find out, this is what I've heard. It isn't because I'm so, but yeah, Jesus, there, how many people, I mean, I'm Jewish. I feel people tell me they pass through the light of Christ. It's pretty real. It's the light. It has different names. It has different, but these entities, it's all real. But what happened with how that came in, the information Lisa is talking about, it was after 9/11 and, got a lot of calls around that. And yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't get to tell the story. Somebody else will come in and tell it. This one man, it was for his, oh yeah, there was one with a mother too. They both asked, that's true. But the man that's coming in now, he called his wife and he was trying to get people down. So he got some people down, and then that was it. But you channel and you taste. He's just doing it very lightly. The smoke, the ash, the fear, the adrenaline, all the human stuff that's going on. And then you hear the screaming of people, grab her, she's down, grab her. He says most of the people that it wasn't immediate were busy helping somebody else and might have had somebody else in their arms when they all passed. Okay, so that's just coming in now. But yeah, the wife said, what happens to the people who did these things? And they just showed, it felt like black jello. That's where you're getting the jelly. And I've read other mediums who have picked up the same thing. It's not hot, it's not boiling, it doesn't rip skin off, it's viscous, and it's just lack of light, lack of life. And there and there, and I could feel it. It didn't feel like it was awful, but it didn't feel like painful. And then it felt like it was a camera backing up, and it was this huge pool. And they around, it was round, and they said, the guide said, they're in there until they come to consciousness. And they're not even aware that they have survived their own physical death yet, some of them. They don't know. And then it panned out, and around the perimeter were beings of light, just beings of light, waiting. And the light, of course, draws them, but waiting. And it's their terms. It's their, and it was so magnificent, because isn't that what healing is? I don't think that most of the people we know are going to have anything to do with that. But it is interesting when you think of getting people to not do things because of fear. Don't kill someone because devils will get you. Don't eat pork because, you won't get into heaven when it's really trigonosis. That's my theory. New kosher is the new organic, I would think, But it's interesting. A lot of these things are put in place to protect us and scare they're saying think about the wording, but Jesus out of us. It scares the point. They want to make a new point for discussion. If we get the bejesus scared out of us, that means divinity, the Jesus in us, the Christ in us, it got scared out of us. Isn't that really what happens to a lot of people? I got the bejesus scared, in other words, we got our own divinity scared out of us by the threats and the fear and, whether it's religious or whatever's going on there, the grown-ups limitations. So we forget how divine we are. And it's really interesting because what I keep hearing over and over and over, and I think it came in the meditation too, just because you have your coat on your body, you're not any less. And my phone's doing something. Let me get out of it so I can come back to. Am I back? Can you see me? Am I back?
Yeah, we can see you.
Oh.
You never went away.
You didn't go
Okay.
anywhere.
If your phone does something, you lose the thing. Well, I guess it wasn't important then. No, it was something that came through. Oh, just because we're in our body, we think we're less, and that out there they see us and they're learning with us, and yeah, they have access in ways we don't, but we have abilities they don't while we're in our bodies. We have this time in here to do so much. And as soon as we realize we're not less divine because we're wearing it, the more empowered we are to get comfortable in there, which I'm really working on. It doesn't mean I figured it out at all, but and to be able to do what we do, it's really fascinating. Anyone
So there's a difference between relationship and worship.
Yes.
You live
Yes.
beyond religion, you enter into relationship. When
Yes.
you stay within religion, you are limited to worship. They're very different experiences.
And you know what? When you worship, you're not laughing. Again, I know I've said this a billion times. The first time I saw the movie before the play, Fiddler on the Roof, and he's talking to God, it's like, there's my peeps, you know, he talks to not Jewish because he talks to God. And then I would go to temple and everyone's like, you know, and over with the same
The
stuff.
same thing, yes.
The same thing. It's like, isn't God bored? And I happen to like going to temple, and it cracks up my family because they're like, oh, you think you have to go? And it's like, no, they get it now. I love the music. I love the out-of-body people flying around. And for the 6 or 10 people or maybe more that are really into it, while the others are just there for the light or whatever they're there for, it feels lovely. It's lovely. But it's not about worship. It's about being part of. I mean, I do worship, you know, I adore, you know what I mean? But it's a collaboration. And I've never known God in this lifetime when we weren't laughing and having a conversation. And it's sad, I think, if that gets beat out of people. I mean, you know, I got out of, I quit Hebrew school because I was bullied so much I couldn't tolerate it, but I loved it, which is really sick and crazy. Every kid's trying to get out, so they're acting abysmally. And I loved it and wanted to stay. I think we get whatever it is that will awaken as we get older, the little pops in there. Oh, okay, I need to go back. I'll study, you know, when I'm older. You know, it's interesting if we look back at all those little things, like the bubbles popping, you
Sure,
know.
sure.
Oh, I'm having fun. Is everyone else on the ride? You know?
We're all having a good time. Maria, I just saw that you unmuted. Are you wanting to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I was also raised Catholic, born into Catholicism and raised, and I've known all along I wasn't Catholic. I mean, since I was little. And I always challenged, because in Catholicism, they teach you that God will punish you, right? And I remember my grandmother one time telling me, I don't know what the heck I was doing, but she was telling me, you better something. And then she said, because God's going to punish you. And I looked up at her and said, God's not going to punish me. I'm a kid. God's going to punish you because you're the adult. So I could never understand that whole thing, because I felt like my relationship with God was always so sweet. So I felt like I was somebody that couldn't be contained within the walls of religion per se. And so as I began to grow, and I was very fortunate that it happened in my late teens, where I really wanted to step out of that box of religion because I felt like it didn't fit with what I was believing. And to this day, I haven't found an actual religion that fits everything I believe in. So I stick to one denomination, but I'm always out of the box with them. So when people ask, I always say I'm a Christian, but I'm way out of the box as a Christian. You know, and of course the judgment comes in, but for me, my relationship has never been within the religion. It's always been this one-on-one. And it's been since I was a kid. So there was something innate in me that understood that before, you know, even what the adults were trying to teach me, I wasn't buying. I just felt like there was something more deeper and profound than these rules that people had, you know.
Right.
But in terms of Catholicism, I think the rituals are beautiful, and we as human beings enjoy rituals. It gives us a sense of community. So
Yeah.
anyway. Yeah.
I have a thought. I think it's really so profound when you start like unpacking this. So I heard God will punish you too from my Jewish mother. So we're all getting the same thing. But as you're talking, I'm listening, I'm thinking, yeah, part of me was like, you don't know anything, you know, God and I are cool. And then at the same time, I wasn't such a bad kid, but whatever it wasn't, if my plie wasn't perfect or my arabesque or whatever, I'd probably go and fall on my face and hurt myself because God was punishing me. I mean, for a person who's had a series of crazy diseases and wacky broken, you know, things, I really wonder how damaging that is. It's like, okay, I don't believe that God does that, but if I'm not good enough at everything, I better do that to myself. You know, I wonder how much we carry that perfectionism, that, you know, and I really hate competition, except for Scrabble. But Yeah, this is how sick we are. We spent the whole day at the hospital, and Sarah and Joaquin were here. So we played Scrabble at night, and somebody asked how Harry was. And I said, he's fine, but I used all my letters and got the extra. So like,
More importantly,
no, not more importantly, but we're okay. When you're scared, it really jacks up your brain. And plus the dead people help me. But
Marilyn?
that's what they say. No, but it's interesting to take all of this apart.
Sophia wanted to say something.
Yes.
Yeah, Marilyn said a couple of things. First, I want to talk, she talked about, religion in sort of a benign way. And I have to say that where I am right now, I see religion as being a problem. And, I recently connected with family who are more traditional, who are more culturally traditional. And I saw this post that someone in Puerto Rico had posted from, I don't know if he was a cardinal, I don't know, somebody in the hierarchy of Catholicdom. And he had talked about, it was quite long, and he was talking about, you're going, the importance of going to services every week. Because if you don't go to services, each time, let me rephrase it, each time you go, it's some other thing you can put into the court, use the court. When you die, apparently you go to court and you have your evidence sheet of how good a person you are. And that includes how many times you have been to services. And if you don't go, who knew? There's still purgatory for all those fallen Catholics. I didn't know. I thought they got rid of it, but apparently it's a really big deal. So yes, Marilyn, to your point, you're talking about how it feeds into how we punish ourselves, how we view ourselves, because, we feel like we need to be good. And what is good? Well, religion tells us what is good, rather than as Marie implied, or said, she has she knew she was a good person, and God liked her. What is it about people that makes it impossible for them to understand that if God is a good, is good presence, he is something wonderful, we embrace that. How could that person be telling us, oh, you missed mass that one time back in 1968? It's curtains for you. You're in purgatory for how many eons? I don't know. It's baffling to me. What do you guys think?
I think it's a combination of true divinity and real stuff going on, and then mostly men who make it into something else. And I caught on when I was a kid, because I was in a predominantly Catholic town, and first week in April, every week I get rocks thrown at me because I killed Jesus. And I was like, I don't know him, other than spiritually. And it's like, because the Jews killed Jesus every year, it would be the same thing. But the other thing is, I remember I don't remember what year this happened, but I was pretty young, when one of the popes came out and said that babies that weren't baptized don't go to hell, they go to purgatory instead. And I was like, you are saying that if somebody, I remember asking a teacher and they got all flustered. And when I said, if somebody in another country who doesn't have this religion has a baby and the baby dies, does God do that? It was like, that was when I looked up and said, are you effing kidding me? This is not about
I mean, it's ludicrous, right? On the face of it, nobody would believe, if you went to another planet and you had no background in our culture, and this was presented to you, what Marilyn just said. I mean, what would you say? Oh, these people are so bad.
They're insane.
Creatures are backward. What is this?
You said something magnificent, though, that the going, it's an opportunity. It isn't, but you said something about it's a court. These are all men hierarchy judgment things. But every time you go anywhere, if you're by the window in the trees and the temple and the mosque and the church, it's always an opportunity to talk to. I refer to mine as the tribunal. They tell me what books to read, but it's always an opportunity with God to work this through. That kernel of truth is there. You can go and do this anytime, anywhere. It doesn't have to be there. It just has to be, you're talking to your best bud. I mean, the
Yeah.
creator. Yes.
Penny,
The history of the church is all about control from
Yeah.
day one. I mean, all right, so they turned Mary Magdalene into a prostitute. They have denigrated women. Women can't be priests or whatever else way back then. It's still, I don't know what it is now. But the point is, we're all God. We can
Yes.
do whatever we want. I don't need to go through the church and rich. I've never been Catholic. I was Presbyterian. And when I married my Jewish husband, or before I married him, I converted because I wanted our children not to be confused. And I didn't feel as a Reformed Jew that I was so far off. And I never lost my love of Jesus. I mean, you can't do that. I mean, I couldn't do it anyway. So I feel like this conversation is about people that have bought into the rules and regulations of very orthodox type of behavior within religion. And that could be Catholicism, it could be Orthodox Jews too. I mean, it could be almost any Orthodox, any religion that stratifies everybody, tells you what to do and when to do it. I'm not going to be like that. Nobody's going to tell me. I can go straight to God, talk to him anytime I want, and I don't have to be constrained in any way, or nor does anybody have to look at me and think that I'm, a puppet of some men somewhere, whoever they are, that dictate to me how I should behave in my spiritual life. No way, no how. And that's just what I wanted to say.
Brilliant. Bravo. Bravo.
I think you do have a point. Religion was designed to contain
Control.
people from-
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. But I took a course in development of Christianity way back when, because I have a friend that is very, very legalistic Christian, and we used to argue back and forth. And so I decided I'm going to take this course because I'm going to knock her story down. And I took the course, and then it dawned on me. I thought, her being within the religion, that's her security. And I don't have a right to step in and infiltrate that, because I think when it comes to religiosity, it really is dependent on our own development. For example, I grew out of it. That construct didn't work for me. For many people, and I honestly believe it's fear-based, is that for them to stay within the construct of religion is safe for them, right? And the more...
It's kind of like a family for them.
Yes,
right?
yes.
I have friends in Siddha Yoga, for instance, to follow the guru. And in fact, matter of fact, I got into that for a while myself. It was lovely. But again, it's still, there are these certain rituals, there's certain kinds of holidays. I don't think it's the same exactly as being an Orthodox Jew or an Orthodox Christian or whatever. And I'm not knocking anything. Please don't think I am. I'm not. But I do feel like our individuality is really compromised when we follow slavishly to these things. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Some people need that in order for them to function.
exactly.
That's
And
true.
I remember when I took the course, they went straight to Hinduism because they have the different levels, right?
Yeah.
But the whole purpose of that system of belief, that construct, was to get people that were the serfs at the lower levels of the caste system to behave so that they would want to come back in another life at a higher caste. And a lot of these religious constructs are borrowed. They're from different aspects. At least that's what I learned when I took the course, is that it really is all of these borrowed concepts. What I understand now, after everything I've learned, is that we do have, other lives that we have lived at other times, and we come in hopefully a little bit more evolved each time we come. And so I think the younger souls are the ones that feel the need to be more within the box because they're new at it.
Yeah.
And I think all of us are much older than we think in terms of soul lives. So for us, we don't need that construct.
That's right.
We're looking for more meaning and understanding out of the constructs that we were initially indoctrinated into. At least that's my perspective.
And I second that, Marie. Growing up in the Catholic Church, one of the nice things about it was that all the kids in the rows next to you had the same belief system. So as far as a peer group, you're not odd or weird because, you know, you kneel and sit and stand and kneel and sit and stand and, you know, but you had all these people that believed the exact same way you did. And yes, it was this constraint of this. And then we have the opportunity to grow out of that. And I think that was, you know, first of all, I think we're fairly evolved in this group. But I do think that there's a lot of people that realize at some point that, yes, this is nice to have this basis, but the reality of, you know, the moral basis, just for that as an example, but the reality is of it, you know, we grew out of it. We grew out into what and firmly follow what our own beliefs are. So yeah, I think it serves a purpose at some point. I definitely don't think that we need to, you know, pursue it lifelong to get answers.
I think, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, if a child is born and the parents don't bring it up in something, in some way, spiritually, and usually that's a religion of some sort, then it
Right.
doesn't know where to go or what to do. I mean, that's been a problem with people that come from two different religions, and they'll say, well, let the child make up its mind when it gets older. Well, it has nothing to make up its mind about. You know,
Right.
unless it's done a lot of reading and study and whatever, which nobody has or would have. So you're right. So it helps to have that basis and moral values and whatever else the religion might provide. And then, as you say, you go on out and do whatever. Sorry, Marilyn, you go.
No, I think this is I love this discussion. It's so interesting. Part of belonging to a community like that is the sense of community. I mean, I remember from past lives, come a Sunday, everybody takes their casseroles and they're singing, and I'm sitting here going, where's you know, it's weird. It's like, it's almost this bereft feeling because, and I know that was, you know, I'm sure in some other life, church related, you know, I think that, yeah, what you're saying, Lisa, that camaraderie, but I think it goes beyond that. And it would be really nice. I've been thinking a lot about how I wish there were like little town centers. They've been built like near here, Santa Leo Hills, and there's a big park in the middle. And I don't know that they use it that way, but wouldn't it be nice if we had parks in the middle of town where you go on a Sunday and you bring casserole and your kids go out and play? And it's just community. Well, we all live here. We might be different religion, you know, basically the churches and all of these places provide a lot of that, but there isn't a place for like everybody. I mean, I think there were drumming circles for a while going on if you're into that, but I mean, I haven't found, and maybe I haven't looked, but that feeling of community and belonging that comes with the religion. And it must be very hard for people who love that and yet feel constricted by what they talk about God because it doesn't suit them. Because they have a personal, like you're saying, that broad relationship, but we're going to contain ourselves so we can go to the party and hang out with everybody. You know, it's so many levels of needs, you know, for us, for a community.
Yes. Alona, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, so there's two things, and I don't know, I'm not going to get this right, but the point is still valid. So I don't know if it's the United States or it's just New Jersey. But whether it's United States or just New Jersey, Christianity has dropped as the primary faith in the state and the country. It is the first time it is no longer number one. So that speaks to an evolutionary shift related to the civilization moving into its soul core and not a religious base. But the other thing is the kids who are being born, specifically since 2000, are physiologically wired to move beyond limited religions. They will not, by physiology, accept that sense of control or direction. So it's, and as we continue on in the next 100 years or so, you're really going to see religions begin to dwindle quite dramatically once we get towards like 80 some years away from here. And if you read the book, you know that there's a whole big thing going on related to that. That's a much larger thing. And then the other part of it is, I mean, Penny, you can speak to this as a participant, but there are ascension communities all over the world. I have one, but there's hundreds of thousands of them all over the world. And we're not connected to any faith. Every faith is welcome, but what we do is really work for the entire world. And it's a very different experience. And it's happening right now all over the world. I don't know,
Wonderful.
you want to speak to that experience?
Yeah, well, yes, I would. I find that it kind of aligns with the way I feel about the world and things that are happening in the world and where we're going and how we can be guided by the wonderful collective, and I don't know what else you want to call it, Alona, but that you bring in to the meetings that we have. And it's very consoling, shall I say, in one way, because you can feel that this is actually happening, that we are moving in this positive direction, even though everything outside there, or if you turn the television on, will tell you different. And I'm very excited. I didn't realize that there were so many ascension communities as you have described, and all over the world. And it makes sense because there are people all over the world who have our kinds of thoughts and aspirations, just like the one that we have that you're running right now. I'm very excited about it because it means that there's action. That's what I want. I want action. I want to feel like I'm doing something. And this is helpful. This group and your group make me feel like I'm doing something positive to make this happen. That's the way I feel about it.
Thank you, Penny.
Welcome.
Robbie?
So in the news lately, I've been hearing that a lot more UFOs are being spotted, and I can't help wonder, are these extraterrestrials here helping us and the planet?
So the extraterrestrials have been in charge. There's a lot of them, and there's Ashtar Command, there's Arcturians, there's a whole variety, and they're all doing specific things at specific times. But in particular, Ashtar Command makes sure that the nuclear warheads are disarmed.
Ah, good.
Yep. If you go online, you'll find a lot of stuff about all of that.
So when Putin pushes the button, nothing's going to happen.
They will neutralize it.
Yes. That's so awesome. Thank you.
They might just neutralize him and then it's a non-issue. So
I don't know.
They cannot interfere with his free will, but they can stop the destruction of the planet. And so there's very clear lines of demarcation. From Star Trek, the Prime Directive is not.
Yes. Don't interfere with their progress, their revolution. Yeah.
It is a Prime Directive, but there are certain dispensations where there can be activity. Mm-hmm.
That is so comforting. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
It's really comforting. And it also reminds me that didn't it come out during 45 that they changed the number. They did not have access and couldn't have done anything even if he wanted to. Didn't that happen during his reign?
They changed the codes, but he didn't know.
He didn't know.
Yeah.
That's what I.
This was people or other beings?
No,
That changed the codes.
I think
staff?
in the government, but other beings. Alona, what do you think?
So I wouldn't be surprised if they work through others. And one of the things one of the other things I try to tell everybody, I mean, there were people in the Trump White House that saved the United States. So it's not about damning or judging anybody who's connected to anything. Some of those people were placed there because they had the courage to do the right thing when everything else was going wrong. And so it's important to recognize that the heavens will use whoever is willing to be of assistance. And whenever you're placed in difficult situations or relationships, it just means that you have the strength to do what's required.
Yeah. Sophia, did you want to say something or you?
No, I'm sorry. I was distracted. My cats are fighting.
Oh, okay. That would do it.
Although I am interested in what Marilyn said and Alona followed up. Two things. I didn't know, but I'm not surprised. I would be surprised if there wasn't somebody in that coterie of people who wasn't there, who didn't feel compelled by some sort of moral code to stay there to as a safeguard. Come on, they weren't all
No.
devils incarnate.
No.
And Mr. Trump was definitely not the norm, even for the Republican Party. So if you were there, wouldn't you stay? I mean,
Of course.
and you get a lot of, you're cast as an evildoer after he's cast out of office. But there are people there who it's perfectly believable to me that somebody would have taken a chance and tried to prevent him from doing as much evil as he could have. Yeah.
And hopefully there's somebody like, oops.
Go ahead.
Am I here? Yeah. Okay. Hopefully there's somebody like that around Putin.
Yeah.
There
Oh,
were
wow, that's a
people
tough one.
Nazis. There were
Say that
police
again.
Nazis who used the position to help.
But
Yeah.
I have to say there are people like that around Putin. They're
Yes,
places
they are.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. So I want to tell a story just to wrap this up, because I think this was a beautiful topic. For me, it was a little bit emotional, actually, being able to share everything with you guys and listening to your perspective. So it was beautiful today. But I wanted to speak to Marilyn's comment in regards to having a central area for people to meet in a town. So in college, I did a speech on birth control. And I listed all these different ways that people were trying to curb the baby explosion that was happening around the world. The United States went into little African villages and dropped condoms that had USA printed on the side, dropped condoms that the people in the villages had no idea what to do with. They used them to tote water and to play games, but they had no idea where they were supposed to put it. So it was one thing after the other. And so in this one particular village, they had a really difficult time trying to curb the baby population. And what they ended up doing, Marilyn, is putting a TV in the town center. And the baby explosion dropped in half in less than a year. They had something else to do at night. So you are right. Town centers are valuable.
That's
Oh,
fun.
Sorry, did you say something, Sophia? You have that
Oh,
look.
no, I was just musing, thinking, I said, yeah, that's interesting. The other thing about town centers, Marilyn and Lisa, is that, when you mentioned it, Marilyn, I'll say two things. It's about having a community, and I remember my mother telling me about the placita in her city where everybody gathered on Sunday, right? This is the norm. It wasn't a religious thing. You put on your best clothes and you just did the circle, around, it's not a square, it's a circle, but it's the same thing.
Yes.
And you connect that way. And there has been efforts to try and create that, even Disney tried to do that, the way they would do it. And I do wish that somebody would be successful at that. Otherwise there's so much isolation, because we have a TV. We don't even have to go to the plaza now,
None of us are having babies because we have TV.
Exactly. That must be it.
And some other things too, but
Zoom. I apologize. My electricity went out all of a sudden. Everything
Yeah.
went blank.
I know Mary Beth
Yeah,
had this
so did mine.
today too.
Did it?
So
Okay.
Yeah, twice in
Yeah.
1 hour. Yeah.
Oh,
really strong winds right now. So maybe that might play into it. So
okay.
Is everybody okay with the rains, or this is still happening? You still have, this is still
yeah,
Yeah, all week.
It's
Well,
that
yeah,
good
it's
right
gonna
now.
be off and on all week,
It's
but
worse in Northern California than it is where we are, but it's still pretty bad here. There's a lot of flooding and we're close to the ocean. And so the 101, which is the highway that borders the ocean, is treacherous. So,
Mm.
yeah.
yeah. And it's windy today, Alona, so that kind of adds to the whole thing. So, but it's all right. We'll be okay. We'll make it. So. And the news is that we're, working our way out of the severe drought. So, more rain, less drought, less drought. So it's all good. It's all good.
And the
So-
snow.
And snow, more snow. That's what we need, more snow.
Well, like everything, it's complicated, Lisa. It
I know
seems
it is.
not, and that's life.
I know
I'm the
it's-
one thing that's 100% good all the time.
I know. But I think that it's inspiring, though, a little bit that we are making a dent, whether it's big or small. I think it's nice that we, that the weather's helping a little bit. And, good skiing when it stops snowing. So there's a
Like
plus.
250% above average. Some days over 200% above
Yeah.
average snowpack. So
That's a good thing. So, well, this was a good conversation. I hope everybody enjoyed it as much as I did. And I think we'll get back together again next week and share more. I think that if any of you are inspired to share a topic with me that we can cover, we are, I think we don't have anything real specific planned going forward for a little bit. So it would be great if you guys have a topic you want to talk about, just share it with me and we will do it.
Oh, one question, since we have everybody here. Who was doing the training with the, and I cannot ever pronounce it, I'll say magic mushrooms for lack of my ability.
That's Betty. That's
Yeah.
Betty.
Well, that, I think at one point she wanted to talk about that.
She did. She's still going through the education part of it. As a matter of fact, she had something going on last week, right? That was kind of intense. So she's preparing to come and talk to us all about it. I've also asked her to do what's it called? Death Cafe. Because she's an end of life nurse as well. And so it's very inspiring to hear her share how people, manage the end of the life and how to make it best for everybody. So as soon as she's able, she will be here to do all of that. But yeah, what's that movie that called The Table of Eight? Or oh gosh, it was a movie about a group of people that go to have that experience. They're all dealing with huge life issues and they've got gathered to it. And it was actually it was kind of funny parts of that movie. But yeah, Betty said to us, that's exactly what they're going through. So it'll be interesting to hear her speak.
I just want to let Robbie know you're in.
Okay, thank you. I'm so excited. Thank you.
I think it's Nine Perfect Strangers is what you're
Nine
thinking
Perfect
of.
Strangers.
Lisa.
Nice.
Yes.
Is the movie?
It's the
Very
name of
good.
the movie. Yeah. So thank you very much, Donna.
By the way, if you watch Limitless with Chris Hemsworth on National Geographic, it's on Disney Plus. It's all about aging. And the last episode is spectacular. It's about the acceptance of death.
Thank you, Alona. And does he have his shirt off sometimes?
And the last one, not so much, but all the ones up to, oh yes.
Okay. Sorry, that's just, I might need a TV in my community center.
Hey, what's the name of it, Ilona?
Limitless.
Limitless. Okay,
It's a
thank you.
National Geographic series. I think there's 6 episodes and it's on Disney Plus.
Thank you.
To your point, Alona, about ascension communities all over, I have a friend from high school in Peru who is similar to you and Marilyn, right? She has your abilities and she posts every so often ascension community meetings, but they're in Peru, Chile, Argentina, and they keep growing. And I mean, it's really, really interesting because it always mirrors what we're doing here. So it's it's fascinating to me to see it in in double, right? It's just really cool. So yes, it's in my part of the world, it's all over the world.
And what's interesting in this past Wednesday, so in terms of getting prepared for our trip, this happened all over the world. So depending on where you were, those were the civilizations that were rising. But the purity of the Incan civilization was reignited into the collective consciousness of humanity. But this was happened with the Maori and, all around the world, all of these ancient civilizations. But our group was particularly taken to right over the Andes in Peru, and the Inca energy was lifted up and into the larger experience of human evolution.
Well, I hope it's the counteract to what's happening with what you call the 3D people on the ground, because the things that I was getting were so negative, it wasn't even funny.
And
sorry to say. Yeah,
but I think that's what's happening all over the world. And this was a way that the 5D planetary hierarchy is reigniting the purity within every nation, within every land, to at least create an opportunity for movement. Positive.
yeah. So those who don't want to see it will fall away. Well, like with the protection prayer, is that the hope? Yeah, it's been really difficult in Peru. So yep, thank you. I'm glad to know that.
And thank you, ladies. Again, thank you, Marilyn, today for leading us on our little journey. And thank you for you and Alona helping our state. And thanks everyone for contributing. So we'll see you all next week.
Bye.
All right. Have a beautiful week, everybody.
You too.